Hey, this is Laura Nemi. You're listening to TV Confidential.
You remember one thing, Victor Boy. In the end, you're a Trevi. Family and business is a strange thing.
Roberts, welcoming you back to TV Confidential radio talk show about television. This happy to welcome back Mr. Peter Onorati. Peter just completed a 2-season stint as Mumford, the leader of the rival SWAT unit on SWAT, while fans of This Is Us know Peter as Stanley Pearson, Jack's father. Peter also plays the head of a New Jersey mob family in a movie called West End, which we'll tell you more about. But first, as we pick up the conversation, Peter is telling us about a recent development with him and This Is Us.
I actually just did one scene on This Is Us. I don't know if they're going to use me anymore this year either, but it was a great scene and very opposite of what my character normally does. And Milo directed, so I went in and did the day.
Well, of course, a show like that where you do a lot of flashbacks and flash forwards,
Yeah.
The possibilities are endless, especially because the network has renewed it for 2 years beyond this year. So who knows?
Yeah, well, you hope so, and I have to tell you, traveling around the country, doing a few things, a celebrity thing here and there, and I have more people coming up to me talking about This Is Us than I do SWAT. And I had so much more time on SWAT, and I mean, people are just like, what made Stanley such a bad guy? Because they saw in one episode that before he had his second child that he was a great guy that didn't drink. And they're like, what's going on? I go, don't ask me, ask the I'm here. I'm not. You're saving me from doing concrete work in my backyard.
Yeah, but I think where they're coming from is, okay, yeah, it starts on the page.
Yeah.
But when it gets to you and when the red light goes on, Stanley is you.
Well, there you go. And it's very interesting to me, too. And I think part of the beauty of this show is that it causes a conversation about who we are and pretty much based on what has happened to us and how some of us have overcome certain things and some of us have died with those things and let them rule over our lives. To me, I mean, I can remember one incident when I was filming this one episode where I take the kids fishing and I stop at a bait shop, which also happens to be a bar, and I end up getting stuck in there and drinking, and the kids are in the car, right? Mm-hmm. And the director, there were two directors on this episode, said, and some of the crew were going, oh my God, what a piece of crap, he leaves these kids in the car. And I said, hey man, I grew up in this time. My father was in construction. When he had to go to an estimate and he took me, he left me in the car.
Yeah.
My father wasn't a drunk, he was a father. And this guy just happened to have a drinking problem. But he did everything that every other father in those days did. He went to work, he worked his ass off, he brought the check home, and you know what? And he watched television. Aside from the drinking problem, which we don't know why he developed that, but that's what fathers did. They left you in the car.
Yeah.
There were no seat belts. There was nothing. You used to stand on a seat while they were driving.
It was a different time, although you and I are about within a decade of each other. When you're telling the story about your dad leaving you in your car while he's going to the hardware store or whatever for 3 minutes. Look, my dad did that a lot too, or if I come from a large family. So, if one of my older sisters would leave me in the car, I mean, you just did that. It was a different time.
Yeah, that's the whole point. Everybody keeps looking at it through the prism of current norms, and that just doesn't hold up.
Peter Onorati is on the line with us. Peter will be seen this season on This Is Us. He'll be returning as Stanley in at least one episode, and hopefully we will see more of him because This Is Us is going to be around for the next couple of years, and that's all good stuff. Peter Onorati, actor who you've seen in one of the most visible actors on network and cable television over the past 25 years. You know him from Civil Wars, Murder One, Sons of Anarchy, Castle, 24, Boston Legal, just about every show Stephen Bochco did over the past 30 years. Now, the last time you visited us, Peter, it was a few months before Stephen died.
Right.
And I don't remember whether we talked about your work with Bochco specifically, but clearly, as we just said in our reset, he was a vital part of your life.
Yeah, you know what? When I came out here in '88, I just came off my first job in Kate and Alley, which was comedy, and my background was in comedy, although even at that time, I'd only been in the business for a couple of years. I had an MBA, was an advertising executive on Park Avenue for 5 years, and then before that worked in international export. But when I got out here, my resume was pretty much on the comic side, and Stephen, by virtue of Cop Rock, made a sort of leading man tangential actor out of me. And then we stuck together for Civil Wars, and then he hired me back later on NYPD and all the others, you know, and we stayed pretty close. And so he was my mentor. He was every time when I used to take the kids to the beach and we'd drive down Sunset Boulevard to the beach and we'd pass Stevens Street, I would tell all the boys, I'd say, okay, wave and say, thank you, Mr. Bud. Thank you for the house. Thank you for the car. Thank you for the education. I really owe it all to him. And our last meeting was very, very interesting. He seemed to be on his way back, and then 2 months later he was gone, but he did get to see his first grandson, so that was cool.
I would also say thank you for the stories and thank you for all of the great characters he created, not just the characters that you were fortunate to inhabit it on all the shows you did for him, but just so many of the great characters he did in his vast body of work.
And that created a huge problem for me, because when you start out in this town doing the best writing that's available on television, you have a hard time picking or accepting projects after that. And there were very few people. I mean, of course, David Kelly, and I also always thought Michael Chernichin, who's a friend, was a really good writer who runs Law and Order, and a few people like that. But yeah, I mean, I was kind of spoiled. In fact, I had never done a network test because I came here. Stephen put me in Cop Rock. That lasted for 2 years, and then, I mean, 1 season on the air, but 2 years' work, and then Civil Wars lasted for 2.5 years' work, but 2 seasons. And when that was canceled, my agents said, listen, they want you to do this other series, but you have to do a network test. And I said, oh, okay, what's that? And they said, what are you talking about? And I worked for Bochco. All he ever did, he had a 10-show, $40 million deal, and he went to the network and he said, I want him, I want her, I want her, I want him. And the network said, okay, no test. So I never knew what a network test was 4 or 5 years into my tenure here.
Peter Onorati is on the line with us. Peter will be seen this season on This Is Us. He'll be returning as Stanley in at least one episode, and hopefully we will see more of him. You can follow Peter on Twitter and on Instagram. Twitter at Peter Onorati, Instagram at Peter.Onorati. Now, Peter can also be seen in a movie called West End, which is now available on Amazon Prime. Now, I've not seen all of West End. I have seen a few scenes. I've seen a number of your scenes.
Right.
I've watched enough of the movie to know that the man you play scares me.
Well, and he's supposed to, and it's really kind of funny because it's a New Jersey mobster, and although I've known a few, I've never really had any intimate dealings with them, but I have an uncle who was the chief of police in my hometown, and it's two sides of the same coin, the way these people approach a problem. You could be a cop or you could be a mobster. I mean, you're coming from a different side of the law, but your approach to the problem is pretty much the same. No bull, this is it, and so on. And having a chance to work with Eric Roberts was great for me, and my good friend Isabella Hoffman played my love interest in the main adult female character. Then Melissa Archer and Joe Nieves and Neil Bledsoe did the lead. But it's a great story, and the really cool thing about it was we finished doing our pickups on the boardwalk in Seaside Heights 15 days before Sandy hit. So you see this movie and you see what the New Jersey shore used to look like for hundreds of years. It doesn't look like anymore.
West End is available for viewing on demand on Amazon Prime, iTunes, Google Play, Vudu, and other streaming platforms. For more about the movie, go to westendthemovie.com, westendthemovie.com. We talked a little bit about the man you play in West End. He's a morally complex character, to say the least. It's not the first time you played a man like that. I mean, you did that as far back as Cop Rock, when you think about it. But I would imagine that as an actor, you relish an opportunity to play someone with shades of gray versus someone who's all black or all white.
Well, first of all, one of the things that adds complexity to the character is the well-written story by Joe Basile. Mm-hmm. We like to call this Hamlet at the Jersey Shore. And when it comes to a character like Uncle John Trevi and these other complex characters that we're lucky enough to get to play once in a while, one of the things that makes them easy and yet provides complexity is that they don't think they're doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
They think that they're doing everything for the right reasons. And though those reasons may be twisted and antisocial or whatever, they are their own reasons, and they believe in them. And so there's never a question about how they act or react to a situation. And that's what's great about playing these, antisocial underworld crazies, that they just don't see the problem with their behavior and with their approach and strategy of life.
And I have been told that is the key both to playing, whether it's a morally complex character or an outright heavy. That's the key to playing a character like that. That's also the key to writing a character like that, is not to think of them as wearing a black hat.
Right. Well, it is for me, and I've done some writing lately, and it is exactly the way you need to approach it, which is also the fun part of it. Because, I mean, let's face it, I believe we're all here on this earth to create, and those are the moments that you get to create a whole life, a whole character, based on pieces of things that have been done or happened to you, both positive and negative. And you get to collect all these pieces and then take a different perspective and build a character from those pieces. I mean, and that's one of the things, I guess I was destined to be an actor. I never thought I was. It didn't even cross my mind. But I do have a catalog in my mind. I have a great memory. And I remember everything everybody ever did to me, good or bad. And even from the largest hurt that could be just a slight turn of a head when I was sharing something very deep with a friend or something, or getting punched in the head, I mean, the pain can be deeper for a smaller a slight than it can be for, a physical pounding, and all those things I have at least cataloged inside, and I use them when I'm creating a character. And I've been coaching a little bit lately, so I've been able to also use some of those on some of my friends that I coach. I will bring up an incident and say, did this ever happen to you, or did that ever happen to you? And they go, yeah. I said, what'd you do then? Well, I didn't do what's in the script. I said, yeah, well, do what you did then. If that's what's natural for you. Yeah, that's a gift, man. That allows us to create, and like I said, that's what we're here for.
You may not have set out to be an actor. You mentioned you started your career in advertising, but to have that ability to retain memories, to draw on your portfolio of experience, so to speak. I mean, that's an invaluable trait for an actor.
Yeah, exactly. It's also a way to sometimes not be able to sleep at night. Think of some of those things.
Peter Onorati is on the line with us. Peter plays the head of a Jersey mob family in West End, an original movie directed by Joe Basile that also features Oscar nominee Eric Roberts. West End, a movie that Peter describes as Hamlet on the Jersey Shore. West End, available for viewing on demand, Amazon Prime, iTunes, Google Play, Vudu. For more about the movie, westendthemovie.com. To follow Peter on Twitter, at Peter Onorati, on Instagram, at Peter.Onorati. Why do you think people like mob movies so much?
Well, I mean, the myth that has grown in the media over the last 4 or 5 decades has been just that. It's been a myth. And once you get to see these mythical characters come to life, that's why people love watching movies about, Greek gods and Hercules and all that stuff. I mean, it's finally putting flesh and bone to the myth in front of you. I also should say that in case anybody's in the L.A. area, the West End is playing at the Highland Park Film Festival on October 5th in L.A., so they should try and get to see it there if they can.
We have a lot of listeners in L.A.
Okay. But back to why people are interested in mob movies. Ever since The Godfather, which was a family drama, basically, is the way Coppola went about it. And there again, it goes back to what we were talking about before. These guys did what they thought was the right thing to save and to protect and to provide for their family. And though it was clearly illegal, it was what they did, and it was their code of honor, their modus operandi. That's the way they did things.
And I don't want to make comparisons to The Sopranos, but from what I've seen of West End, there does appear to be a Sopranos-like influence in at least some of the characters or the approach of some of the characters, and that there's a lot of humor and offbeat dialogue in the moments before they show themselves to be what they are.
Yeah, well, that's you know what? That's the way these guys are. And that's the way The Sopranos captured it first. And by the way, I would think that's even more of a Jersey mob thing than it is a New York or Chicago mob thing, because Jersey has always been, well, they were the second city before Chicago was the second city.
Yeah.
And also Jersey is where all the mobsters fled to from New York so they could live their lives out in peace. But there's a cynicism to all that, especially because, like we said, they know what they're doing, and they know the reasons they're doing it, and they know what can happen. And once what can happen is about to happen, it's like, well, you knew this was coming, and so let's just get it done. And from that comes a pretty dry sense of humor and cynicism, because people like that sometimes don't value life. They value everything but life.
Yeah.
And also to them, it's the cost of doing business. You know? And like they say, it's kind of funky, but they do say this is the life we've chosen. If you go into the service, you got a chance that you're going to die, in combat. I guess that's what these guys think they're doing.
The word transactional is popping into my head. I mean, They do what they need to do at this moment and this time to get them through the next stage.
Right, that's right. And there is, as silly as it may sound, there is a code of things, of certain transgressions garner certain punishment. And that's it. That's the rule. You don't do this or you get that. And it was always pretty clear. But again, I never had any intimate dealings with them. There were some that were friends of my father, or were people who were protected by the families in New Jersey that were friends of my father, that of course in construction and stuff. And I had all I could do when I was working in New York City as an ad man to convince everybody that you could be from New Jersey, you could be Italian and family in construction, and not be in the mob.
Yeah. Well, this is apropos of whatever, but many years ago, I had a late-night flight from New York to San Francisco. It was a Sunday night, and I was supposed to fly out of Newark. Yeah. And I was driving to the airport. I missed the cutoff, which meant I was screwed, and I missed my flight. And so they put us up at like a Motel 6 in Newark. Now, I've stayed in cheap motels. I've stayed in nice motels. That place in Newark, it was the only place I could ever remember where the doors were dead-bolted and chained at night. And let's just say there were some Tony Soprano types in the lobby. I stayed in my room a lot then.
Well, listen, I'll give you a perfect example of how they can be as congenial as they can be deadly. I was ready to come back here. We had already moved here for the birth of my first son, Sebastiano, Sonny, we call him. And I finished Kate and Alley the night before, and I had a call back for Scorsese in Rockefeller Center at 12:30 and a 2:30 flight to come back here in L.A. for the birth of my son. Mm-hmm. So, of course, I took the call back, right? Mm-hmm. But at that time, for the small roles like I got, Scorsese had begun to hire real mob guys or cops who had chased real mob guys. Mm-hmm. So we all had the same scenes, of course we call them sides, to read, and then if they liked you, casting and Scorsese, they would find a part for you, right? So I walk into the casting office in Rockefeller Center, and there's all these guys with silver sweatsuits and patent leather sneakers smoking cigars, right? And they look at me, and one of them goes, "What are you reading for?" And I go, "I got the sides for Sonny Pampool." He goes, "You know him?" I go, "No, I don't know him." He goes, "I know him. You don't look nothing like him." And I said, "Well, that's what they gave me." He goes, "All right, kid, God bless you. Good luck." So,
Just a couple more questions. You mentioned that you did an episode of This Is Us recently. We'll look for that coming up this fall. What else do you have in the works that you're at liberty to tell our listeners?
There's a few things in the works that are not solid yet, so I don't want to talk about them. There is one thing that just happened, which is really great for me. My wife and I, both before we left New York, became members of the Actors Studio. Mm-hmm. But that was in the acting unit. And recently I submitted a play that I wrote about Italian brother and sister in New Jersey. And they accepted it and are going to workshop it and admitted me to the playwright directors unit there. So if this goes well, there could be a play that I've written, produced within the next year or two.
Well, that sounds very exciting. We'll keep good thoughts about that. Peter Onorati, always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you for squeezing us into your schedule. I look forward to our next conversation.
All right. Thanks for having me, and thanks for punching up West End. It's a great movie.
For listeners in Southern California, West End will be screened at the Highland Park Film Festival on Saturday, October 5th. For more information on that event, westendthemovie.com, westendthemovie.com. For our listeners everywhere, West End is available for viewing on demand on Amazon, iTunes, Google Play, and Vudu. You can follow Peter Onorati on Twitter at Peter Onorati and on Instagram at Peter.Onorati. Ed Asner will join us when we come back on TV Confidential.
Become an advertiser or underwriter of TV Confidential and let our brand help promote your brand. To find out more, go to televisionconfidential.com/advertise.
Buying or selling a home can be one of the most stressful things we'll ever do in life, but it doesn't have to be. And no one knows better than our friends at Front Porch Realty Group. They're a community of realtors serving the Northern Bay Area of California that cares about their clients as individuals first and foremost. Whether you're a first-time buyer or looking to lease or sell your property in the Bay Area, Front Porch Realty Group will help you through this important transition by providing you with the right information for your situation while lessening the pain. They also work with a network of realtors throughout California who provide the same high caliber of customer service. Call Front Porch Realty Group at 415-886-7411 for a realtor referral near you. You can also visit their website, frontporchrealtygroup.com, for more information on the services they provide, including upcoming workshops and seminars. For more information, call 415-886-7411 or visit frontporchrealtygroup.com. Front Porch Realty Group. They'll find the solution that works best for you.
Want a free first ride with Uber? Uber, the mobile app that connects you with a ride at the touch of a button in minutes. Enter promo code TV Confidential after you download the app to receive your first free ride up to $20. For more information, go to get.uber.com/go/TV Confidential.
Hey there, this is Wink Martindale, and you're listening to TV Confidential.
Attention sports fans, now you can watch every football game you want all season long without leaving your home with Dish for about $50 a month. Compared to your cable bill, you can save almost $600 a year. Call right now and sign up for Dish and watch every football game you want. With Dish, there are no boxes to pay, plus get free installation as soon as tomorrow if you call now. And with Dish Anywhere, you can watch your favorite sports and channels on your smartphone, tablet, or laptop. Be one of the first 100 orders right now and get a free voice remote. Don't miss a single football game all year long and save a ton of money. Get a free voice remote and free installation as soon as tomorrow. But you gotta call All American Dish right now.
800-296-1251. 800-296-1251. 800-296-1251. That's 800-296-1251.
Miss the show? We have more than 500 hours of archived editions of TV Confidential available on demand as digital downloads. For more information, go to shop.tvconfidential.net.
This portion of TV Confidential is sponsored by The Misadventures of Biffle and Schuster, the hilarious side-splitting new DVD available through Kino Lorber.